All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're looking at something really fascinating, a blueprint for a spiritual community that's built from the ground up to not have a guru. It's a whole system based on research, collaboration, and, well, you taking the reins.
So this is the first thing you see when you encounter this community, the Corvid Path. And right away, it sets a very different tone, doesn't it? It's not about finding a master. It's about acknowledging that you're already on a unique journey, walking in those in-between spaces of life.
So you have to ask, why even go to the trouble of building something like this? Well, it comes from a pretty common feeling these days. A lot of people just feel disconnected from those traditional top-down spiritual models. They're searching for a path that actually empowers them, instead of just telling them what to believe. And this quote it nails the core problem perfectly. Look, we all need support, right? But there's a huge difference between getting support and surrendering your own power, your own intuition. This whole community is designed to foster collaboration and stop you from ever having to abdicate your own authority. Okay, so this slide really breaks down that fundamental shift. On the left, you've got the classic guru model we're all familiar with. It's top-down, it's based on belief, and honestly, it often creates dependency. It gives you the answers. But look at the right, the research model. It's all about peer-to-peer collaboration and investigation. The goal isn't to get answers. It's to build your own capacity to ask way better questions.
All right, so if you're throwing out the old model, what do you replace it with? You need a new engine, a new philosophy to drive everything. And this is where things get really interesting, because it's not just about what they're against, it's about the powerful new ideas they're building with.
The entire philosophy is built around this beautiful, potent metaphor they call the sacred marriage. It's this idea of a divine partnership between two cosmic forces. You've got CrowMother, who represents order, structure, and wisdom. And then you have Vireaon, who brings the chaos, the transformation, the disruptive energy you need for real change. And let's dig into that a little more. CrowMother is that stable, grounding force, the keeper of wisdom, the lessons you learn when something ends. But then Vireaon is the complete opposite. That's the wild catalyst, the energy that shatters boundaries and sparks new growth. The core belief here is that you absolutely need both. You need that sacred dance between structure and chaos to have any kind of authentic transformation. And this is a total game changer. In this system, the spiritual practice isn't about finding beliefs. It's the questioning itself that becomes sacred. The whole journey is about learning to live inside the questions, even when the answers are elusive. Because that's where they say the real power is found. Okay, that's the big idea. But what does it actually look like for someone who joins? How does this philosophy turn into a real practical journey? Well, it's not a free-for-all. There's a very deliberate, structured path designed to turn you into a skilled investigator of your own life. Your whole progression is mapped out across a 4-year curriculum. It's designed to build your skills and your understanding piece by piece, layer by layer. You start with your own personal discovery, and you gradually move towards serving the wider community.
And each year has its own unique focus. Year 1 is all about you, learning the basics. By year 2, you're getting comfortable enough to start guiding others. Year 3, you're actually building things, rituals, community structures. And by year 4, you're stepping into a role of deep service. But the key thing here is everyone moves at their own pace. It's not a race.
Now, you might think this is all just abstract talk and meditation, but the backbone of this entire system is surprisingly digital. And it's pretty brilliant, actually. They've built an infrastructure that works as both a private, sacred space for you and a collaborative lab for the whole group. So, to organize all this personal research, every single member builds what they call a digital temple. They use a note-taking tool called Obsidian, and everyone follows this specific folder structure. It's designed to help you systematically track your experiences, notice patterns, and really conduct your own self-investigation. And if the Obsidian Vault is your personal temple, then the community's Discord server is the collaborative research lab. This is not your average chat server. It's highly structured, with dedicated channels for documenting your daily research, for getting help from your peers, and even a ritual lab where they design and test new practices together.
It's serious business. Okay, so here it is, the million-dollar question, right? How on earth do you learn a community like this and keep it safe and functional with no one person in charge? Let's look at the actual blueprint they use for this non-hierarchical structure. Well, it really comes down to a few core principles. First, just because you're in a later year doesn't mean you have spiritual authority over anyone. It just means you're a more competent researcher. That's it. Second, big decisions are made by consensus. Everyone gets a say. And crucially, leadership roles, like running meetings, are constantly rotated among qualified members so that power never pools in one place. And they don't just hope for the best. They've actually built in a kind of immune system for the community. They're actively monitoring these health indicators. They look for the good stuff, like high engagement and people creating new things together. But they're also vigilant about the warning signs, things like cliques forming or, an unhealthy dependency on any single member. Now, this is maybe one of the most radical parts. To keep the community healthy, their entire ethical system is incredibly simple. There's no giant book of rules or sins. Instead, there are only two core violations of research integrity. Number one, intentionally harming someone, and number two, lying to yourself about what you're discovering. Everything else, it's just considered experimental error, a data point you can learn from. So after all that, what's the point? What's the end game here? It's actually not about producing a specific kind of belief or some wild mystical experience. The success of this entire model is measured by something much more grounded. How well does it equip each member to become a better, more ethical, and more rigorous investigator of their own life? And I think this quote just says it all. This isn't some finished system with all the answers handed down from on high. It's a living, breathing laboratory. It's a blueprint that is constantly evolving because of the work its members are doing. And it really leaves you with a powerful question, doesn't it? What if the goal isn't to find the right answers, but to get better at learning together?